not just individuals, but groups of people bound together by ethnicity, religion, or politics react in the same way. Greed, fear, anger, retaliation. What is the answer? How do we resolve conflict and attain peace? Wishful thinking will not end the hatred and intolerance in the world. Merely reading books will not solve our problems. Relying on others certainly does not work. The only way to create peace is through hard work and dedication, and by understanding how much is at stake here. We, each one of us, must be dedicated, and we must do the hard work. But we need not discover how to do the work. The Buddhas have already taught us everything we need to know and shown us the path we need to follow. We can take comfort in the knowledge that although Buddhas cannot get us out of the chaos we have created, they will help us as long as we need them to. This they do by continuing to teach us and by showing us the way. We just need to listen and follow their advice. The sutras contain many accounts that show us how to follow the Buddha's guidance. One account tells of a time when the Buddha was staying in Shravasti. An incident was brought to his attention. Close to where he was currently visiting resided a number of monks and nuns. It happened that when some nuns were spoken ill of, one of the monks would become angry. When that monk was spoken ill of, the nuns would become angry. After confirming with the monk that this was accurate, the Buddha advised the monk that he should discipline himself and hold these thoughts. My mind will not change. I will not utter evil words. I will abide with compassion and loving kindness without an angry thought. The Buddha then told the monastics to always remember that even ordinarily calm minds can be disturbed in difficult times. So the monastics needed to train themselves to remain calm, regardless of the situation. The Buddha recounted how there was once a woman who lived in the same city where they currently were. Everyone regarded the woman as gentle and kind. She had a slave named Kali, who was clever and hardworking. Kali wondered whether her mistress was as mild-tempered as she seemed. Might her mistress actually be hiding a bad temper? Perhaps Kali was so efficient that her mistress had not had cause to lose her temper. Kali decided to test her mistress by getting up later than usual one morning. When the mistress saw Kali and asked her why she got up so late. Callie responded that she had no reason. The mistress became angry. The next morning, Callie got up even later. Once more, her mistress questioned her, and once more, Callie replied that she did not have a reason. When this happened, yet again on the third morning, the infuriated mistress struck Callie. Bleeding, Callie ran out of the house, crying out that her mistress had hit her because she had gotten up late. Word of what happened spread, and with it the report that the mistress was actually violent and bad-tempered. The Buddha pointed out to the monastics that as long as they did not hear anything disagreeable or unpleasant, most of them were quiet and well behaved. But when they heard something objectionable, such words became a test as to whether they were truly calm and gentle. The Buddha gave an example. Monks may be gentle and kind because they have everything they need. But if they become upset when their needs go unfulfilled, then they are not truly gentle. The Buddha explained to the monks that there are 5 aspects of speech by which others may address them: timely or untimely, true or false, affectionate or harsh, beneficial or unbeneficial, and with a mind of goodwill or with inner hate. In these circumstances, they should train themselves. Our minds will be unaffected, and we will say no evil words. We will remain sympathetic to that person's welfare, with a mind of goodwill and with no inner hate. We will keep pervading him with an awareness imbued with goodwill, and beginning with him, we will keep pervading the all-encompassing world with an awareness imbued with goodwill, abundant, expansive, immeasurable, free from hostility, free from ill will. The Buddha continued that even if robbers were to carve them up limb by limb with a 2-handled saw, he who became angry even at that would not be doing his bidding. He instructed the monastics that even under such circumstances, they still needed to train themselves to maintain an unaffected mind and continuously pervade the universe with thoughts of goodwill through eliminating hatred and not speaking evil words. The Buddha asked if there were any speech they could not endure. Were they to follow this guidance? They responded that there was none. He then told them that they should often call to mind the simile of the saw, for doing so would bring them happiness and great benefit. The Buddha was teaching them to discipline themselves and to train by keeping this admonition in mind whenever they heard people speaking to them, using speech that was timely or untimely, true or false, affectionate or harsh, beneficial or unbeneficial, or with a mind of goodwill or with inner hate. In other words, they were to train themselves by keeping this admonition in mind at all times. First, the monks were to train so that their minds remained unaffected. To maintain a calm, clear, unperturbed mind, we should not allow that which we see, hear, taste, touch, or think to disturb and thus taint this pure mind. Whatever has been perceived must not move the mind, but be allowed to fall away as an image moving in front of a mirror is reflected, but after passing out of sight is no longer present in the mirror. Also, they were to say no evil words. Like them, we can endeavor to never again say words that are false, harsh, divisive, or enticing. This guideline of saying only what is correct, honest, and beneficial enables us to keep our speech proper. So often, when we are speaking with others, we do not say anything helpful, but instead indulge in idle chatter or frivolous talk. If there is nothing correct, honest, and beneficial to say, it would be wiser to remain quiet. This way, we will not have to regret what we said or wonder how to undo the harm that we had done. When speaking to others, it is also important to find the right time to discuss sensitive matters. Embarrassing or hurting someone because we have chosen the wrong time to speak to them will cause additional suffering. Furthermore, it will do nothing to correct the situation. We need to find both the right words and the right time to say those words. Next, the monks were to remain sympathetic to that person's welfare, with a mind of goodwill and without hate. We need compassion, not just for the abused, but also for the one who is the abuser. One who hurts others does not understand cause and effect, does not understand that by doing this, he or she will continue to be pulled back again and again into the cycle of inflicting and receiving pain. People who hurt others do not understand that the persons they are hurting had in the past hurt them. By retaliating now, they are just perpetuating this cycle of pain. We need sympathy and compassion. to understand how both the abuser and the abused are caught in this cycle, unaware of the cause and effect that has brought them to this point. They are unable to act wisely. This is certainly understandable. How many of us have learned about cause and effect? We should understand what is happening when negative things occur in our lives. But when these things happen, how often are we able to remain calm and act wisely? If we are sympathetic to the other's welfare, maintain goodwill, commiseration, and loving kindness for all people, then we will not judge others by saying this person is right and that person is wrong, because we will come to understand that we do not know the true reality, and so will likely mistake wrong for right. But if we are able to regard both friend and foe with sympathy and loving kindness, we will then be able to practice the non-judgmental, unconditional giving of love, and thus wish for all beings to be happy. Next, the monks were to have a mind without hatred, not talking harshly to others, not being sarcastic, not lashing out blindly are ways to control our anger. But we need to go further. Ideally, we should not even hold anger in our hearts. Holding on to our anger will taint everything we do. When we interact with others from a mind of bitterness and frustration, we will inflict our anger on others. In conclusion, the Buddha told the monks that they were to keep pervading the person who was speaking to them out of ill will, with an awareness imbued with goodwill. Beginning with that person, they were to keep pervading the all-encompassing world with an awareness imbued with goodwill. Abundant, expansive, immeasurable, free from hostility, and free from ill will. Initially, we can start this training with those who are close to us, family and friends who care for us. We start here because it is easier for us to love those who love us and are kind to us. It is much more difficult to love those whom we have negative feelings for. Once we establish this mind of compassion and goodwill for family and friends, we can then expand it to include people we casually encounter. People whom we know, who we have no strong positive or negative feelings for. Accomplishing this, we can broaden this mind of benevolence to include people we dislike, and eventually, even those we hate. If we can keep broadening this mind, we will gradually be able to accommodate many others in an ever-widening circle. Then we can open up this caring mind to include all beings throughout the universe. The more encompassing this caring mind is, the greater our respect for all beings and all things will be. Our regard for others will bring us tranquility, because we will not fall back into anger, frustration, or resentment. The Buddha spoke of the simile of the saw to show us that even when something horrible happens, we should not feel aversion toward the one who is hurting another. If we react to an abusive or violent situation with animosity, then we are making the situation worse. We will have allowed another's anger to destroy our peace of mind and rob us of our mind of compassion. If we fall into the habit of proceeding from bitterness and anger, then we will be reacting out of blind, destructive emotion. When we do this, we are not helping anyone. Not the other person, not ourselves. Because we will become emotionally ensnared in the other's problems. If we can remain calm, we will have a much better chance of successfully utilizing our innate wisdom and thus know how to be truly helpful. Reacting to violence with violence only increases the existing hostility. It may appear to solve the problem at the moment, but actually, we are planting the seeds for more antagonism in the future. If only we had been able to act with wisdom in the past, then we would have already resolved this enmity. But having failed to do so once, we have enabled it to grow. And if we do not resolve it with understanding today, this anger and violence will increase and be even worse the next time it erupts. As the Buddha said, hatred never ceases by hatred, but by the absence of hatred. Often when I speak of this to people, they would ask about a situation where we see someone hurting another person or even attacking someone we love. How does one react in such an emotional situation? This is exactly when we need a calm mind. If we become angry, then we will just charge blindly into the situation and might even begin to behave violently ourselves. With a calm mind, we will have the wisdom to know what to do even in dangerous circumstances. The sutras have accounts in which the Buddha encountered angry people and violent situations. But he knew the right words to get through to the people to help them stop what they were doing. We do not know the right words because our minds are not calm enough. Only when our minds are tranquil and clear will we be able to access our innate, non-judgmental wisdom so that we will know the right words to speak and the right actions to take. Ideally, when we see someone hurting another, or when someone is trying to harm us, we need to understand that this is a karmic consequence of something that happened in the past. With this understanding of cause and effect, and with the understanding that this body is not I, we would not fight back in emotionally charged situations when attacked by another. In the Diamond Sutra, we read of a bodhisattva who was quietly meditating on a mountain. He was viciously attacked and killed. But due to his level of understanding and his calm, clear mind, he felt no anger, no hatred. I think it is safe to say that most of us are not at this level yet, unable to react as awakened beings. We can defend the other person, or alternatively try to escape without hurting the one who is being violent. We should try to do everything possible not to make the situation worse. The more we practice meditative concentration, the easier it would be to react from our calm mind. We will then be able to know how to react wisely in all situations. But the situation that we are talking about is a hypothetical one that most likely will never happen to us. A much more probable situation would be the one where someone cuts us off as we are driving down the road. This happens all the time in the U.S. I assume it happens occasionally here in Malaysia. Instead of acting out of anger by blowing the horn or trying to speed up to cut the other person off, how might we react? Recently, a young woman in the U.S. told me that she practices patience while driving. She allows herself ample time to arrive at her destination. This enables her to drive at a moderate speed. If someone cuts her off, no problem. Not in a rush. She is able to remain unaffected by the carelessness or rudeness of others. She might arrive at her destination